the things that make for a great marriage also make for a great business relationship. And that you can say that even for if you're going into business with your sister or with your frat brother or whatever, you want to be able to trust that person. And if that person is showing that they're untrustworthy in their personal life, you need to watch out as far as being a business partner with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. I think that's going to help so many people. The
Mhm.
other thing, and this was the last point in the code of conduct, get formal.
Yes.
And before we talked, I said, well, what does get formal mean, Ronnie? And you just laid it out. You said we make things too casual.
Yes, people
Yeah.
are being too casual as it pertains to having a business with their spouse, right? And so they're showing up sometimes, they are not being consistent. But Lamar and I, from the beginning, we said we were going to do this. And so, like when we sold Black and Married with Kids in 2022. But the entire time we had Black and Married with Kids, we never took a month off of business. Like, are you building a business or are you not building a business? So I see entrepreneurs, they're in it some weeks, they're out of it some weeks or whatever. And so we remain consistent. But even with each other, we did everything that we learned in corporate. We had meeting minutes and we had calendar invites, and we did annual planning and all of the things.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get formal. I think so many people, I mean, we get in business with our family and your cousin and all the things. You just expect cousin to show up like cousin.
Right.
And you're like, no, that's not how we're going to win.
No. Even if you're in business with yourself, get formal. Get formal, right? Set out your calendar. Time block. Have certain days of the week that you're going to do certain things. That's the way you're going to be able to grow your business. Have planning sessions. And people are like, it's so silly. How can I have an annual planning meeting? It's just me. Well, hire a VA for $6 an hour and have them in the meeting taking notes. Get a peer business owner, and you all do your annual planning together. But get formal, even with yourself, if you're in business by yourself.
I love that. I think it's just so much of this when we talk about building anything, whether it's a business, whether it's your life, it comes down to a plan, it comes down to routine, but it comes down to accountability.
Right.
You have to be accountable somewhere at some point to yourself or to other people in order to win and be successful.
Yeah. Somebody asked me recently, one of my clients, and she was just like, Ronnie, well, who are you accountable to? And at first, accountable to. And at first I said, well, nobody checks me. Nobody checks me, boo. No, but then I said, you know what? I'm accountable to my family. I'm accountable to my employees, right? And so now that I have employees, I'm accountable for that. I want to make sure that they have consistency, that they can get paid. And I feel like so many people play with that too much. And they're up and down in businesses, and they're hiring people, and they're firing people. And so I am accountable to my community and to my clients and to my husband and to my kids. So I am, even though secretly nobody can check me.
you wearing all the hats,
yes,
right?
Yes.
And I think so when we look at so many women, right? So many women are saying they suffer from burnout, right? Because they're wearing so many hats. They're the mom, they're the wife, they're the corporate girly, they're the COO, the CEO, they're the CFO. They're all of these things and wear all these different hats. What has really kept you grounded and stable to continue to rise in this season of your life?
So it took me a while to get there. First of all, I have two schools of thought. So it took me a while to get there. And so was I grounded? No, I was crazy. Thank God Lamar is still with me, right? But yeah, so just trying to kind of like balance it all and doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to do as a mother, trying to cook, 5 nights a week and do all the things. And so it took really being able to prioritize like what matters and what doesn't matter. And it matters to me that the downstairs is clean, but the upstairs is a dang on mess, okay? So you just got to start like picking and choosing like what really matters, or else you're not going to be able to get it all done. My other school of thought is that I feel like women, believe it or not, we put too much pressure on each other, right? And so the more that we put up this facade, then other people think, I have to look like that, or I have to, in order to be successful or whatever. And so I try not to do things that I just think would be a bad representation for women. So I'm not out here like, if you catch me on a certain day, I'm not going to be wearing makeup or just like being like completely beat, because I think people think that's what you have to look like if you have a 7-figure business or entrepreneur. No, honey, I have like on a nice top and pajama pants and some Crocs, or whatever. Or if I'm meeting with my team, like most of the week, I'm not having on makeup or whatever because I really want to show people this is what it really takes.
Yeah, what it really takes.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about the planning that it takes to run the business, though, what it takes on the back end for you is that continually going to therapy, is that making sure you have a workout regimen. What does that really look like? Because there's so many women who are like, I want the 7-figure business, but don't understand that in order to have that, there's some stuff behind the curtain that I have to be able to do.
Right. So for me, the things behind the curtain that I had to do is, well, number one, I'll have to say that things kind of timed out really good for me, right? Nice and good. Like by the time our business grew to a certain point, my kids were self-sufficient, So, and now I can't afford to have someone come in and clean the house for me. And I can't afford to have people do some of the things to alleviate that stress. And so while I would love to get up here and say, the thing to do is to have somebody do all of those things, could I have afforded them back then? Probably not. And so it just worked out such that now that my business is bigger, I can afford all of those things. I will say to outsource as much as possible. And to, in your private life, again, prioritize what's important and what's not important. And it's not important that your kids get vegetables every day. Okay, I'm not even going to read your comments. I don't care. Okay, they didn't eat vegetables every day. They got all A's and they're still alive. So there's that. All right. Or, and people say, well, my kids would never eat McDonald's. I tore McDonald's up. Like, okay, so there's that. But I say, if you want to do it all, first of all, you got to prioritize. You got to time block. You have to focus on your business and be consistent. In order to do that, some things have to go. You can I can't say you can't do it all. There's probably a woman out there that does it all. Yeah. I couldn't, right? And so I had to start letting some things go, allowing people to help me. But you can make some choices. Now I see a lot of people spending a lot of money on things. And it's not as expensive as you think that to have somebody maybe come in twice a month to just like clean up and do the things. Yeah. That may be less Starbucks, that may be less eating out. You know what I'm saying? But you can prioritize that and budget for it and get it done. But if you can get someone to take those things off of your plate so that you can focus on your business.
Is there a non-negotiable for you?
For me, yes. I can't work as much in the business as my husband. So that's for me because I am the COO and I do have a business partner, and that's my husband. We always had an agreement that he would, I just can't work as much. We have 4 kids. I just can't do it, right? And so that's for me because I do want to spend time with the kids. I didn't want to impact them as much. And so we have an office building. I don't even really have an office in there. I share an office with my husband when I come in. And a lot of our employees, especially if they're new, they're like, why isn't Ronnie coming in? But we agreed that I would not work in the office. That was an agreement when we had our office building, that I don't go in the office and he does. And a lot of our employees don't even know that agreement. And so they're like, you should come in. But that was my non-negotiable because I have 4 kids at home and I'm running our household. And I'm taking on the majority of that as well. And so people are like, oh, girl, you're running this business and you have 4 kids. How did you do it? That's how I did it. And so I just wanted to, let people know that I had those non-negotiables. If I were the CEO of our business, I would have had even more help at home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have.
I can only imagine. If that blessed you, trust me, you've only scratched the surface. There's so much more wisdom, truth, and transformation waiting in the full conversation. Click the link in the caption below to watch the entire interview. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you never miss an episode of Vault Empowers Talks.